Today we're going to talk to you a little bit about a project we did together around inquiry-based research in a hybrid setting in Becky's computer science classroom.
So my name is Becky Hansen, and I'm an elementary computer science teacher. Um, I'm also a technology integration specialist, but I spend most of the time in the classroom doing computer science.
My name is Angie Kaltoff, and I am a product manager at Capstone in Curriculum and Instruction. But prior to this, I worked at Tufts University for the Early Childhood Technology Graduate Certificate and in the St. Cloud Area School District as a technology integrationist, and before that, an English language teacher.
Okay, so let's talk about the class structure. I have hybrid class, so half the students are in the physical classroom and half the students log in through Google Meets, and that's more, I actually have more students than half the students in the physical classroom. I store everything in Canvas, which is our learning management system. I also use GoGuardian as a tool to allow me to look into the student screen and set scenes for them. My students are using Chromebooks, and for this project, I saw the kids 3 times a week. They gave up 2 of their recess times a week on Mondays and Fridays, and then I have them on Tuesdays for a 45-minute session. Our project. So I look at all the standards when I go to plan a lesson. So the ISTE standards for students are designed to empower student voice and ensure that learning is a student-driven process. And these are the standards that we hit while doing this inquiry-based research project. And I'm in Texas, so we do the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, and we ended up hitting every single inquiry and research TEK that the students have to hit in 6th grade for master. I also use the CSTA K-12 computer science standards, and these are the standards that we went through, or the students have mastery of by the end of the project.
So this project was really to focus on helping kids research an area of computer science that was of most interest to them. And so we did this through an inquiry-based process. So as you can see here on the screen, these are the steps that we went through with the students. So the first step was to think of questions. The second step was to search for the information. The third step was to organize and cite sources. The fourth step was to prepare a presentation. The fifth step was to present. And the sixth was to reflect. So we are going to go through each step and tell you the tools we used for that step. We also want you to take a minute to think about what your intention is for the presentation. I know that I myself sometimes get caught with the shiny tool syndrome when I go to a presentation and think, oh, I want to use all of the tools and I have to use all of them right away. And our goal is not to give you the shiny tool syndrome, but to just let you know how we implemented this in the classroom and give you some options for the future. So the project overview we set back in September when we were planning this. We laid it out like Becky showed you or told you earlier, 3 times a week. The dates did change a little bit based on not having school or things changing, but our original plan was for it to take about a month, doing it about 3 times a week. But I'll let Becky update you on what we actually did.
So as of last Friday, we had presented our project, but we hadn't reflected on our work, and we're going to be doing that tomorrow. So it ended up taking actually about a month.
Right? About a month.
About a month. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so on the first day of the project, we jumped right in using Google Slides and we laid out what the inquiry-based research process was. We shared with them their learning goals and our learning goals, and we let them know that this project was one that we were learning on as well, but we were also going to share this project with other people in an online presentation. So they had goals and we had goals. We also opened it up for them to have any kind of time for questions at the end, and I thought it was funny that when that time came, a lot of the questions that were asked were around me being in Minnesota and snow and ice fishing, and not as much as the project. So that doesn't really have to do anything with the project. I just thought it was funny and wanted to share. Okay, so here we go. We're going to jump into the 6 steps that we went through and talk about each step along the way.
Okay, so in step 1, think of questions. I use the Canvas learning management, our learning management system, to have all our lessons in. So the students would go to the module and it would have step one and everything that we were going to do in step one. So it had the learning objective, and then I also embedded the Google slide. That way the students could always go back and look at that. We used a Google Doc with links to ebooks and articles, because at this point in the process, the students are brainstorming ideas. And so we wanted that if they didn't know where to look for ideas, they could go and look at this document and have the ebooks and articles there that they could click on. And then we used the Jamboard. That way students, when they were brainstorming and they came up with an idea, they could write that into the first slide in the Jamboard that we gave them. And then at the end of the class, when they decided on which project or which idea or research topic they wanted to do, they could go back and encircle it. That way we could see exactly what they wanted to do. So that was step one, think of questions.
And step 2 was search for information. So I'll show you the choice board we used in a little bit, but I, working at Capstone now, used these products. Pebble Go, which is a database made for early readers, so think kindergarten through second grade. Pebble Go Next, which is a database made for readers, so think 3rd through 5th grade. Capstone Interactive, which are our ebooks, and then Capstone Connect, which allows you as a teacher or a student to search by standard or title. So this is what the choice board looked like, and we had Becky's media specialist come into the class and do a quick demo and talk to the kids about different databases and ebooks that they could use to do their research on. And it was created on a Google slide, so that was embedded right into Canvas, and it was easy for the students to get there and click on the image and get right into the platforms.
Okay, so step 3 is organize and cite sources. So we gave our students the Jamboard, which is the same Jamboard they were using before. We just kept adding pages with the different topics or where we were in the process on there. And so we had topic starters. That way, when they started looking for the research and they started organizing their information, they knew how to organize their information. And then we also did this midway check-in. And when we did the midway check-in, we got very lucky that Google Meets finally had their polls available. And so we launched a poll to check how they were doing midway. Step 4 is prepare the presentation. So we had our students, again, we used Jamboard. And so we had made a Jamboard or a page for our students where it had the introduction, 3 facts, so fact 1, fact 2, and fact 3, and then the conclusion. And students had to use stickies. That way they could write an intro, they could write the 3 facts, and then they can have a conclusion. That way, when they went back to present, to prepare their presentation in Scratch or Dash's Neighborhood, they had that information right in front of them that they can refer back to create their presentation. Now, when I use Scratch with my students, they haven't had a full year of Scratch because of the COVID last year. And so this is still really new for them. But when I have them do a Scratch project, I use the UCAC Scratch rubric, and that's available online for anyone to use. And then when I did give my children the opportunity to do either Scratch or Dash's Neighborhood, half of the class wanted to do Dash's Neighborhood. But when they got into it and they started looking at it, they noticed that it wasn't giving them what they wanted in the project. So some of them wanted him to rotate 180 degrees, but still face them, and he wouldn't do that. The whole simulator in Dash's Neighborhood would move with it, and that's not what they wanted. They also didn't want to record their voice. They thought that Dash would have a computer-generated voice. They didn't want to hear their voices. Now, there are 6th graders, and they're girls, so that could be an issue. That could be a thing just with the girls, but they didn't like that. So all my students actually went back and did their project in Scratch. Step 5 is the student presentation. My students in Canvas, again, I had the objective, the Google slide in there, and when we went to go present, they actually just used Google Meets, and we made them the teacher, and they got to present their screens, and they showed everybody their projects that way. And at the same time they were doing that, I was recording the session, which is uploaded into Canvas in a Google slide that shows all the recordings for our class. The next 2 slides are going to be examples of the student projects. This one is the one on Catherine Johnson. And then the next one is all about artificial intelligence. And we added some code there. That way you could see how they were coding the project. Step 6 is reflection. So students used, I embed everything through Canvas because that's our learning management system. So it's an easy way. They don't have to go to 100 different places to find what we're doing. So in Canvas, there is a way to add Flipgrid as an extension or an app. And so I have it embedded there. And what I want my students to do, because we're doing this tomorrow, they're going to go back and they're going to reflect on their project, how it went from the beginning, how the middle was, and how the end was. So they're going to kind of give me a plus delta of the whole entire process.
And that is our quick presentation, but we're both on Twitter, so if you have any questions about what we did or if you've done anything similar, we would love for you to reach out to us on Twitter and share with us. So thanks for spending your time with us, and we look forward to connecting with you. Bye.
Bye.